Hat Talk with Webb is back, baby. What's going on, man? Some of these stories were from about 3 days ago. I will have way more new stories come tomorrow. Like I said, I'll put out another podcast tomorrow. But let's get started for what we have. What Alabama's OC Brian Daboll said about running backs and Jalen Hurts. Here's some quotes he had. He said that we have a wide variety of throws and new plays for the team so far. He said he's learned a lot more from Nick Saban and Bill Belichick than he has from anybody in the game, in the business. So he's glad to be coaching there. They asked him about some different things about college versus pros, and he's like, time limits, that's a thing. Like I said, there's a different kind of difference. And basically Daboll said he wasn't going to bring anything super new to the game because he knows what's worked in the past. But he is going to change some things, but he just wouldn't really intimate what he was talking about. So that'll be interesting to watch. I think we're going to do more running backs. If I'm guessing, I think we're going to see a little bit more power runs. And I think you'll also see guys like Josh Jacobs run out in the flat and catch passes more often. Even Najee Harris. Najee Harris is lethal if he catches the ball in the flat. When asked about Jalen Hurts, he said extremely strong worker. He's improved on his eyes, his footwork, and his mechanics. And he said the guy gives nothing but effort in practice. He's watched every piece of film that he can. And he's ready to roll, which is awesome. They asked him about his work ethic, why he's such a workaholic, kind of like Saban is. And he said he was raised by two old school grandparents. I thought that was kind of cool. It's an old school guy. He said, that his defensive background, he said, is going to really help designing plays, knowing the ins and outs of being on defense and vice versa for his role at Alabama as the offensive coordinator. They asked him about recruiting. How do you like recruiting? He said, well, I just kept an open mind. I've never done it before, and I'm just in there making really good relationships with high school coaches. So that's pretty cool. They asked basically a summary of what he said. They have a lot of good players. He hopes that the guys step up and the young guys take the leadership roles and go from there. Another cool story, Alabama's defensive coordinator Jeremy Pruitt talks blitzing and the new face of the D. He said they have a lot of great players, a lot of young players. He hopes to be able to step up, mature into those roles super fast. He says that, and I've said this before, I know I was talking to a longtime Tide fan, Bop Webb, and we had both agreed that we don't know if we're going to blitz as much as we have seen the last 2 years because we may not have those guys. We may not this year. We may not have those dynamic guys like Tim Williams and Jonathan Allen off the end. I mean, we could literally blitz off of 4 downs, 3 downs. We could afford to blitz. That's just the way they were that good. This year, I've been telling people hamper your expectations on the number of sacks we may have. That may have to change, but that's okay. But 7 draft picks had a little bit to do with it as well. We also got to remember, Jeremy Pruitt said that he thinks Daron Payne has the opportunity to play all 3 downs. I was talking about him in my last video about how good I thought he was. So that's something to think about. He remains uncertain how much we will blitz. Like I said before, we need to keep that in check because I don't know how much we will. There were some interesting notes. He said outside linebackers who are angling to replace Tim Williams and Ryan Anderson. He mentioned Terrell Lewis, Christian Miller, which I've mentioned before, and Anthony Jennings, which I've mentioned before as well. Terrell Lewis I haven't mentioned, I don't think as much, but those are 3 guys he said is angling for it. He said what's really nice is having Minkah Fitzpatrick, who literally can play all 6 positions on the field. So he can rotate around every different position in all different formations. He didn't have to be set to safety or deep safety or left corner, right corner. He can play literally everything. And his flexibility helps mismatch players and mix players up, which is good. I think we'll see that a lot this coming year. Like I said, Raekwon Davis, he expects to advance throughout the season and do good. He had also asked about Trayvon Diggs, and he says that he thought he had the skill set to transition from receiver to make a really good defensive back. I thought that was pretty cool. A little bit, I'm not going to tell you about this whole story, but a few things nice about it. It says why Nick Saban likes Alabama's OC Brian Daboll coaching origins. Well, we all know he's coached with Belichick. He's coached with Saban before. So we know where that is. And he thought he liked the idea that he knew so much about defense being an offensive coordinator because he knows how the guys are going to line up on defense. It kind of helps you game plan. You know kind of have an idea what formation they're going to go to, so you can switch things up. If you want to run a running back in the flat for a safety valve, you have a run play, this, that, and the other. And sometimes it gives you an advantage for mismatches on the offensive side of the ball to confuse the defense. And he said he liked that. Saban says, and this is his quote, "I think any good coach really understands defense. If you're playing a certain coverage on defense and you really understand how that coverage is being taught and implemented and what keys are the defensive players, then you have a better chance to exploit that by how you attack patterns, and it gives a problem for the other team." He also was quoted as understanding the game, how you're getting defended, and sometimes by weak points in some of the coverages and some of the front schemes or the force alignments that can make an advantage. It doesn't mean it's going to be an advantage, but it definitely can be an advantage in terms of understanding how certain plays are playing you and maybe how you want to attack them formationally, or use some kind of motion or line up empty your motion, whatever it may be. So I thought that was really, really interesting. Another story, Brian Daboll was very coy about kind of the different things he wants to do on offense. He was very vague. I don't think it's a totally revamped offense. Yes, I think we're going to go back to more power running. Yes, I think we're going to start feeling Jalen Hurts out and doing some other things. And I don't think we're going to go away from the run. I think we're going to spread some people out, but not as much as we have. I think if the run is working like we saw in certain games late in the season with both Scarborough or Damian Harris, we're going to pound the rock. We know we can jam it down your throat. I don't think we're going to go away from that just to mix things up. Okay, a rundown what happened during Alabama's open practice. Okay, Christian Miller and Anthony Jennings have been consistently outside linebacker on first-team defense. Rashaan Evans as the outside rusher on certain packages. Deontay Thompson keeps lining up as the sixth defensive back when Alabama's in the dime. Has been a safety with Minka Fitzpatrick up playing star money. Freshman tight end Kendrick James had a good amount of great catches during the 7-on-7. They think really good things out of him. So, and also Jalen Hurts hit a 40-ish yard pass to Robert Foster for a go route, which was really awesome. Irv Smith caught a pass over the middle and fought for it. They think he's going to be a really big contributor. Linebacker Keith Holton was in a black non-contact jersey. I'm not sure why that is. Offensive lineman Chris Owen is in a black non-contact jersey. Excuse me, I don't know why that is either. I'm trying to find out. A couple of cool moments. Najee Harris, like I said, I think he's dangerous in the flat. Just proved it. He caught a pass over Tony Brown, juked him. Also caught another pass in the flat, juked Mack Wilson out of his shoes right over the middle, which was really great. And then he beat Mack Wilson again in route over the middle. So that was kind of cool. Now, there were some lackluster issues on quarterbacks for these 7-on-7 drills, a lot of incomplete passes. Mac Jones missed a wide-open Cam Sims deep. It would have been a touchdown. Levi Wallace intercepted Mac Jones over a short pass over the middle during the 7-on-7s. You had Kendrick James. He's mainly working at tight end for the second straight day. After working at defensive end first day of camp, we know Saban likes to mix things up and switch people around, so that's not unexpected. First team defense in line practice early is Deron Payne, Deshaun Hand, and Raekwon Davis for most of those downs. So that's top three that we're probably going to see the lineup in the fall. So don't be confused if that's what you see. Like I said, this one kind of surprised me. Vandarius Cowan, a freshman linebacker, was in a black non-contact jersey. Didn't know he was hurt, but I'm trying to find out that for you guys too. Alabama running back Bo Scarborough feels after his broken leg. He pretty much doesn't want to talk about it. He thinks that's in the past. He knows he's got to be mentally strong and keep pushing. He said that book and the chapter in that book is closed. I don't want to talk about it. Let's move forward. He also said when he's asked about the hot streak he had last year when he really dominated, he is a great guy. He's a very humble young man. He gave all the credit to the offensive line and those guys. He said it wasn't him. Like I said, they asked him what his goals were. He said that's for me to know and you to guess. And basically, they asked him about the injury, and he said, "Man, you can't avoid injury. This is football. Whatever happens, happens." And like I said, the key thing about his rehab, he did say, I thought it was cool. This is a quote. "You have to work on the days you don't feel like working," he said. "Those are the days that you get better and stronger." And he's right. Anyway, Tide Talk with Webb.